BlaXit family, BlaXit family. How are you today? I hope you're well. I'm in another location again, so let me know if you can see and hear me, okay? I'm just changing the angle slightly. So, for better light, it's a bit dark. I might go and get lights. Bear with me, I'm gonna go and see if I can get some lights. It's a bit dark. Okay, that's a bit better. You have light. Let there be light. There is light. Okay. So, BlaXit family, how are you today? I hope you're well. How has your week been? Oh, goodness, I've forgotten my fan as well. Sorry. I'm a little bit all over the place this week. You have to just bear with me. If the fan is interfering with the sound, let me know, please. If the fan is interfering with the sound, please let me know. Yeah? Okay. Let me see your comments. Thank you, Mr. Bar. Got some help today. Thank you, Mr. Bar. So, yeah, anything? So, yeah, thank you. I'm very, very hot, been rushing around. Thank you, Mr. Bar. Tomorrow. Just about made it. Gosh, everything's sweating. Very hot today. It's a beautiful day in Africa. Beautiful day. So hello to Akinik Music. Hello, how are you? To Ibrahim Adiri 1808. How are you? Ah, the fan is not interfering. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So how have you all been? So much has been happening. So much has been happening since we spoke last week. If you were here on the live, thank you so much for joining us last week. That was an amazing live. In fact, full of information and full of facts as usual. And of course, you know, our own take on things. So, whew, I'm settled down now. I just need a glass of water. The person that's doing our moderation this week is Cafe. So please give it up for Cafe. Caf, thank you so much for being our moderator this week. Appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. As I said, it's been a very, very interesting week here on the continent. And of course, as you might have seen in our comments, we said congratulations to Sonko. And Usman Sonko used to be the Prime Minister of Senegal until he was recently ousted by Bassirou Faye, who is the president, and he has been now placed as Speaker of the House. So we wanted to say a huge congratulations to him. But firstly, let me say a huge congratulations to you. Thank you for joining BlaXit. Thank you so much for supporting BlaXit as you have throughout the years, the months, the weeks, and the days. If you are new to this channel and you've just happened to jump on this channel today, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I almost never made it. That's why I'm a little bit flustered and everything, and just threw on some lippy and jumped on. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. BlaXit is a portmanteau meaning black and exit. It's the exit of the black people, the black people's time to exit from the West back to the best. I am a repatriational specialist, and I am the CEO and founder of BlaXit, the original BlaXit. I am the founder of the original BlaXit, and my name is Nyancho Kajabi, aka Juliet. And welcome to BlaXit. BlaXit specializes in getting you out of the West and back to the best, and that is Africa. And I myself has made that jump. I've been coming to Africa for over 32 years now, and I must say I have been enjoying my put this up a little bit. I have been enjoying my escapades across Africa. It has been a very, very amazing journey for me. It's been an amazing time for me. And I live in Africa permanently, and I am loving it. Where do I live, you might ask? I live in a beautiful, beautiful, smiling coast called the Gambia, which is one of the smallest countries here in the Gambia. In the continent of Kebulan, or Africa. Okay, so greetings. Who is watching the Hawks? How are you? Greetings. And I'm doing bad because I have a comment. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Go and get some ginger. I've read your comment about having a common cold. Get some, just as my recipe, okay? This is my recipe for a common cold. Get some ginger. Yeah, get some garlic. Get some honey. Get some onion, okay? Get some lemon. Get some cloves. And boil them together, okay? And then drink it 3 times a day. That's my old school remedy. Whether it works for you, I don't know, but that's my old school remedy. Yeah, you can try it, okay? So, but I wish you better and I wish you well. Try my remedy, yeah? Some garlic, some onions, yeah? Some cloves, very important, don't forget the cloves. Yeah, the lemon, don't forget the lemon, and don't forget the honey, okay? All right, so anyway, Benjamin Desmond, 1292 said, good afternoon, happy Sunday, BlaXit. Greetings from California. It never rains in Southern California. Okay, ignore my singing, but you know the gist, yeah? Okay, how are you doing over there in the Gambia? Yes, I love the Gambia. The Gambia's doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. And greetings to you over there in It Never Rains in Southern California. Okay, and they tell me. Okay, so Mr. Jeff says, I've been thinking about moving to Johannesburg, and I currently live in Las Vegas, but I'm really thinking, oh, sorry, let me just fix my dress. Strangling me. Oh, I chipped the table. Sorry about that. That's better now. Yeah, last Sunday, you said that you've been thinking about moving to Johannesburg. You currently live in Las Vegas, but I think I want to at least visit. Yeah, you should. Most definitely. Before I came to Gambia, I visited. In fact, I went to several African countries before it's a good thing you're actually saying this, because one of the questions that I was asked was about what I did to make my decision to actually decide to leave permanently. So Yamoja Jantori, 6743. Hello from Los Angeles. Wow. Hello from LA. How are you? Thank you for joining. And Akin Music says, all right, where you joining us from? Akinic Music. Where are you joining us from? Let us know. So New Horizons, let us know where you're also joining from. People like you, sister, give us hope despite the situation in my country, Sudan. But we believe one day we will have peace. Thank you, sister, for everything. And you will. And you will. Listen, they're not going to win. They're not going to win for long, okay? They are not going to win. They're not going to beat us. Let me tell you something. The brainwashing that they put upon us, the colonizer spell is being demysticized. Okay, it's becoming undone. The spell that they had us under is becoming undone. White savior syndrome is finally being recognized as a serious symptom of trauma from slavery, okay, and post-traumatic slavery syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGroy. Yeah, you know, we are now recognizing the fact that yes, we are suffering from colonization, and of course, all of the fallout from 400 years of slavery, and as well as that, the now intentional racism, discrimination, and neo-colonization that we're going through. Liliani Resurrection, how are you? Comments are going so fast, I'm going to have to speak quicker. Hi, Juliet, Caffrey, and everyone. Greetings, Liliani Resurrection. How are you? And where are you? Where are you reaching out from us from? At Ada here, 1808. Well done. Thank you to you, Ada here. All right, 1808. Welcome. And where are you reaching out to us from? And Aiken, you're in Canada. Wow. And what's the weather like there? Do let us know what it's like being in Canada. And Ayo Kafua, hello from Chicago. Greetings to you, great Ayo Kafua. Thank you so much for joining us. And Aldir, thank you so much as well. Tell me what's on your mind. Yeah, we'll do a slightly different show. Tell me what's on your mind. I'm going to talk about a few updates with what's going on. And of course, my take. I don't know how you enjoyed ALD or African Liberation Day, which is on the 25th of May. I found it to be very interesting. I watched a few of the events that happened around the world. I think there was one in Grenada, one in Kenya. Brother Eugene Telford of the New African Network also posted something, and I was watching that as well. And it was very interesting to see the different perspectives from the diaspora and also from on the continent. And I want to, I had some I had some thoughts to take home on that I'd like to discuss. So we can talk about that. So hello to Caffrey over there. Thank you for being moderator today. We so appreciate you. And thank you for welcoming everybody into the group. So Ebony Sweetness. Am I saying it right? Ebony Sweetness. And at the end, 5153. How are you? Yeah. Greetings from the UK, aka Shitty. Shitty England. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. It's been a while. You're looking lovely. What is your topic for today? Okay, so today we have three topics. Okay, one is we're going to talk about something that I talked about last week, but it actually happened this week. So last week we were talking about Code Noir. Do you remember? And I'll probably do a quick recap on Code Noir, just letting you know that the lawmakers repealed it. Yes, in the National Assembly in France, they actually repealed Code Noir. And a lot of people aren't aware of, the lasting reaches of Code Noir and what was actually in Code Noir, because a lot of people aren't aware of how bad, some elements of it was. And so I actually wrote a piece about it. Let me try and see if I can find it and quickly do a recap with you on that. So that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. And he also talked about reparations, and then at the same time said, don't hold your breath, So it's just like like I said last week, it's BS. Last week, we were talking a bit about the crisis and crowd actors being used in South Africa. And guess what? Hey, what? I've got news about that, and also about some of the tactics that have been used, and about the 140 arrests that were made, and also about the person that was one of the organizers was murdered on Monday. So one of the vigilantes were murdered on Monday. So I want to talk about that as well. And I also want to discuss the new, I don't know what's going on in Kenya, but we're going to talk about Ebola. Okay. I know it sounds crazy. What am I talking about? I will explain everything as we go along. But I just want to see if I can quickly find the recap. I sent it to somebody, so let me have a quick look. If I can find the recap, I think I sent it to Des, and I also sent it to Subi. Let's have a quick look. Let's see if I can find a quick recap. And I also want to talk about Ghana, and I want to talk about the apology from the poop. Okay, yeah, Leo the poop. So I want to talk about that. And I'm sorry if any of you are Catholic out there and you're taking offense. I'm so sorry. I so apologize. But I really am not Catholic, and I am not, going out there and supporting it and, talking about that. But I will talk about the apology. And what I want to know is, where's the reparations? Okay, where are the reparations? That's what I want to know. And Gambia is wonderful, thank you. I actually went for a wonderful breakfast on the beach a couple of days ago. It was amazing. Oh, by the sea. Oh my goodness. I had a few nights where I was working at night and I didn't get much sleep, hence with the bags underneath my eyes. So I was working on something, and I'm so tired. But I had to come on today because I wanted to share this. So the laws of Code Noir, yeah, the Code Noir 1685 by Louis the 14th. I think I said 15th last week, so I do apologize for that. Yeah. It says, these are notes. So just to recap with you about Code Noir, the fact that it's been repealed. And many of you might say to me, but Gina, what the hell is Code Noir? What are you talking about? Okay. Okay. So let me just say, one of the reasons why I came to Africa to live is because I'm sick and tired, right, of their racism. I am so tired of it. And the thing is, it shows itself in so many ways. But one of the ways that it shows itself is in this superior attitude. And I couldn't stand it when I was living in England. Like, it was like a lot of white people had like a superior attitude. And it just didn't bode well with me. I didn't like it one bit. So that's part of the reason. Could you give me some likes, please? Because it really does help with our algorithms. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, could you please, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to BlaXit. I would so appreciate it. Please punch that thank you. Give me some hearts. Send me some likes. Send me some whatevers. But please do it, because as you know, we've been shadow banned because, we're a bit controversial. We say the things other people don't like to say. We take it to the edge and we say what we feel. I say what I feel anyway. So that's how it is. And I will talk about Code Noir, maybe in more detail. As you might find other Pan-African channels don't cover the exact same topics as I do. I cover topics that really affect me personally, and what makes, either my stomach curl or makes me want to jump to action. So that is really what it's about. So Code Noir was a royal decree. Okay, it was a royal decree that was passed by the king pimp. I do like to insult them racists, yeah? Louis XIV in 1685, as I said, to legally define and regulate and institutionalize slavery and racial control throughout the French colonial empire. So when I talk about French, I'm talking about Guadeloupe, I'm talking about all of the French colonies in the Caribbean, as well as, of course, all of the African countries which were colonized, or they were colonized and then turned into countries. As you know, Africa was carved up like a pie in the Berlin Conference. So anyway, they wanted to legally define and institutionalize slavery and racial control throughout the French colonial empire. That's why I said we need the United Empires of Africa to come back again. They have their empire, let's have our empire. Okay? So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. So while slavery itself was permanently abolished in France in 1848, the Code Noir, as a legal text, was never formally repealed, okay, or expunged from the legislative books, leaving it as in a state of obsolete but unabrogated legal limbo, unabrogated legal limbo. The 60 articles of the 1685 decree primarily focused on three areas, okay? because there's lots and lots of it. So for the sake of brevity and quickness, and to obviously keep your attention, I will just quickly go through it. So number one was the legal status, slaves as property. So I'm talking about our ancestors, your ancestors, you know, our brother-in, our sister-in as property. Okay, it was called bien meuble. Excuse my French, I'm not very great. I even got this thing on my head to make me even look as though I'm the part, but I don't know if it's worked. But bien meuble, right? It's called movable property. And that's Article 44. And it explicitly classified enslaved human beings as chattel or movable property, meaning they could be bought, meaning us, okay? Meaning our ancestors. Okay, could be bought, could be sold, bartered, inherited. We could even be inherited. Could you imagine that? They could inherit us. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we could be inherited and seized for a debt. Seized for a debt. Can you imagine one farmer owes another farmer and they could go and seize us, our ancestors, as debt? Yeah, like cattle or furniture. So, anyway, we had no legal identity. This is another thing. This is why I don't respect their laws. I do not respect their laws. I do not respect their laws. And that's why I'm going to read something to you by who I call King Mopongo, right? And he says, break their laws. And I agree with him. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to read a piece that he wrote and share with you today, okay? No legal identity. Slaves had no legal capacity. They could not own property. You hear us? We could not own property. We could not enter court contracts, yeah? And our testimony could not be used as legal proof. So they could kill someone, you could watch them, and your testimony would not be taken into consideration. They could kill your wife right there, boom, boom. And your testimony would not be taken into consideration, okay? And then there's matrilineal slavery. That's the status of a child. That's matrilineal slavery. Listen to this. The status of a child followed the mother. If the mother was enslaved, then the child was automatically born into slavery. Okay? That means that's how they passed it down via the maternal line. Okay? So extreme. So even if the father was made a free man, he paid manumissions for his freedom, it still wouldn't pass down to his children. He would have to go and buy back the freedom of his children. That's why I said reparations is a must. Reparations is a must, okay? Now, extreme social restrictions and punishments. Now, listen, if you haven't been watching, please come back on and listen to this. Please listen and listen to this. Stay with me, okay? Extreme social restrictions and punishments. And some people say, oh, I don't want to hear about the past. Oh, I don't want to hear about this. Oh, I don't want to hear about that. This only got repealed this week. This only got repealed this week. Now, listen, if you're squeamish, don't listen to this, right? If you're squeamish, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to like what I've got to say, okay? So let me just tell you this, okay? Extreme social restrictions and punishments. Severe physical mutilation, okay? Enslaved people who attempted to escape was called marronage, okay? I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. Don't give a stuff either, but it's called marronage. And at first, for the first time, when they tried to escape, you know what they did? They cut off their ears, right? Imagine, there's no kind of giving anyone anesthetic. This is not an operation. Right? They got a knife and cut off their ears. And then, you know what they did? They branded them with what they call fleur de lis. Yeah? That's FLEURDELIS. Fleur de lis iron. A hot iron, and brandish them if they try to run away. You know what running away means? It's freedom. You know, I don't want to be enslaved. I don't want to be whipped. I don't want to be killed. I don't want to enslave work for free. I don't want to be raped. I don't want to be abused. I don't want to be whipped. I don't want to be stripped. I don't want to be buried alive. That, you know, this is what they're running from. This is the trauma that they're running from. I don't want my child to go into slavery. This is what they're running from. So that's what they would do, right? In the first attempt, they would cut off their ears and they would use a hot iron and they would brand them. Yeah. Anyway, and if they even tried a second time to escape, they would cut their legs. Here they call it hamstring. Ain't a ringed hamstring. They would cut their legs, just like what they did in Kunta Kinte, yeah? And then a third attempt resulted in death. they would kill them. This is what French did. And then we're occupying, sitting there with a French macaroni. In Kenya. No. We have to remember these people and what they did, and we mustn't forget. And younger generations mustn't forget. Yeah, there was capital punishment. Any slave who struck their master, listen to this, any person who was enslaved that struck their master, right? You know, just give it one bitch lick, you understand? Right? Excuse my language, sorry. Give him one bad lick, right? They would have capital punishment. Any enslaved person who struck their master or their master's wife or their master's children. Yeah, you heard me. The master's wife and the master's children. So they could beat them, slap them, whip them, do everything to them, and they could not respond. And if they did, it's capital punishment, okay? Any slave who struck their masters or their master's wife or their master's children I talk fast sometimes, children were executed. You heard me? Executed. Yeah, killed. You got any questions for me on this? Ask me, yeah? They had a ban on assemblies, right? Enslaved people belonging to different masters were strictly forbidden from gathering at any time. So this is where they stopped us from gathering, right? This is where they stopped us from mixing. This is where they stopped us from socializing. This is where, and if you got found, oh my gosh, right? We were also banned from carrying any weapons so that we could not retaliate. So when you wonder, oh, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Because they were banned. And the reason why they were also banned from talking to each other or to other people was simply because they didn't want them to plan together, to gather together and to decide that, you know, they could start a rebellion. That's the reason why, like what happened in Haiti. And you know what, France went into Haiti and Haiti mashed them up. You understand, right? They had religious and imperial monopoly. Now, this is why I'm not, big on religion. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not big on white religion. Okay, I am not. And this is one of the reasons why, okay, is because number 3 is religious and imperial monopoly. They had the expulsions, right, of black Jews. Okay, and it wasn't just black Jews. It was anyone who didn't believe in their religion. But they tried to just frame it like that. The very first article ordered the immediate expulsion of all black Jews, right? And they said Jews, but Jewish, yeah? But they didn't, they meant black Jews because they weren't enslaving no white Jews in Africa or in the colonies. So this is a misnomer. They just tried to frame it differently, okay? From French colonial territories, yeah? But the focus, of course, is on black people. And when they mean Jews, they mean anyone who they saw as practicing their own spiritual and cultural beliefs, okay? So now they were forced into Catholicism. Now you're wondering, why is half of Africa, French Africa, all Catholics? Now you know why. Because they had forced Catholicism. The code mandated that all enslaved Africans be baptized and instructed in the Roman Catholic faith. You had no choice, okay? Public exercise of any other religion, especially what they called Protestantism, was strictly outlawed, okay? Protestantism. Anyway, Protestantism was strictly outlawed. So that means every black person was forced to be a Catholic. You didn't have a choice. Okay, yeah, Code Noir. This is Code Noir. This is exactly Code Noir. Correction, is Code Noir the reason why we are so fearful of trust among... Yes! In Francophone Africa, yes. Who said that? Ayo Afua, yes. And Adike 2274. Hello, yeah? Ask your question, hun. Ask your question. Yeah, we are discussing Code Noir because it was repealed this week. If you remember, we talked about it last week. Yeah, I'm going to discuss Haiti as well. I'm going to discuss Haiti because I've got something else to share with you. Okay, so they had forced Catholic. Forced Catholicism, okay? So the code mandated that all enslaved Africans be baptized and instructed in the Roman Catholic faith. You did not have a choice. You could not follow the spirituality of your forebears. You could not follow you could not follow any kind of other religious code except for what they said, okay? And that was Catholicism, okay? And then you had mandatory rest days. The masters were forbidden from making slaves work on Sundays or Catholic holidays. Why? So that you could go and get more brainwashing. Okay, so on Sundays you could go and get more great brainwashing, and there was nominal obligation, of course, on masters too. So for them, there was no rules on what you could or couldn't do to an enslaved African. Oh no, they could do the worst to us. There was no controls, absolutely none. And to maintain public order and preserve their workforce, the code placed minimal, really enforced any rules on the masters. They were legally required to provide basic food and clothing and to care for slaves who were elderly or sick. And you know what that meant? Early death, okay? Yeah. However, masters who broke these rules faced no real no consequences, while the absolute power over the enslaved Africans remained secure. And that is why we have fear. And this is why we have this entrenched fear of white people, because it was programmed into us. Okay, now imagine that these laws were current evidence and they are absolute evils. Okay, that our ancestors had to endure. Okay, despite the Taubira law being passed in, I'm not sure if I said it correctly, Taubira, yeah, Taubira maybe law of 2001 on May the 10th in 2001, France passed a landmark law officially recognizing the Atlantic slave trade and slavery as a crime against humanity, but didn't say anything in the UN. So it's all BS. Do you know what I mean? It's all BS. But Code Noir remained as an absolute insult, okay? And this has been steadfast until this week. So let me jump to this week quickly now. So this week, as of this week, where am I? As of this week, where am I? Yeah, the lawmakers in France, they repealed it. Now, of course, this came under a lot of scrutiny and also criticism by Pan-Africans, which of course they would do, okay? As far as they were concerned, some people said there was one person, I think his name was Max something. I'll come across his name in a minute. But he said he's a lawmaker from Guadeloupe, and he basically said it's a cheap way to clear one's conscience. That's what Code Noir is, and the repealing of it is 178 years old. Okay, it's 178 years old is Code Noir. You understand? Right? I'm going to talk about Haiti as well in a second. Anyway, but he was saying, but the repealing Code Noir, but reparations remain elusive. Why? Why can't they talk about reparations? And when they do, they want to talk about not making false promises. You are a false promise, macaroni. Do you understand? Macaroni. Yeah? Lawmakers voted unanimously to strip the Code Noir, the text that regulated slavery, until it was abolished in 1848. Pan-Africanists are demanding reparatory justice from the government of France. And so we should demand reparatory justice. All of you out there listening, joining me, please, let's do this, okay? Because you know what? They stripped us of everything. They stripped us of everything, right? So French lawmakers on Thursday, they voted to repeal Code Noir, a law that regulated slavery into the French colonies that was never formally repealed, even after the abolition of slavery in 1848. The vote reopened a debate around reparations in a country that has refused to confront its history of enslavement at the National Assembly. For nearly 2 centuries after France abolished slavery, the colonial era law that classified humans as property remained quietly in place. On Thursday, lawmakers finally finally moved to eliminate it. The National Assembly voted in a rare show of unanimity. It's shame. Yeah, it's shame. Because you know what? It shows them for who they are and what they did to us. It shows the kind of wickedness and cruelness that our ancestors had to go through. So now they want to sweep it under the carpet. I'm not sweeping it under the carpet. Code noir, code noir, code noir. I'm not sweeping it under any carpet. Yeah? The National Assembly voted in a rare show of unanimity of 254 votes to none to approve the billing repeal of the Code Noir, or the Black Code, a decree signed in 1685 by King Louis XIV. France abolished slavery in 1848, but it has never formally been revealed. Anyway, let me just move on, right? The law turned human beings into chattel, allowing them to be worked, beaten, sold, raped, killed, and France has never formally done away with it. In fact, France has never really formally apologized either. And I'm not interested in an apology, just pay up and get out of our lands, get out of our colonies, and leave the Sahel alone. Get the hell out, you know? And, you know, I've got some reactions from people as well. It says the realization made many people feel aghast. How do you feel about it? She said that this shocks me, said Muriel Jean-Baptiste, a Paris-born nurse whose parents are from Martinique, a French overseas department in the Caribbean. Department, you know, it's a colony, right? The law that treated black people as property was left sitting there, she said. This code reach was total. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, like many French white presidents before him, Macaroni stopped short of an apology, like I said, because they don't mean a word of it. It's more symbolic foolery as he tries to befriend English-speaking African countries. Okay, that's my take on it anyway. It's more foolery, okay? It's just symbolic. It's just symbolic, okay? And he's just trying to, like I said, use smoke and mirrors. Use smoke and mirrors, because he's losing his grip on his colonies in Africa. Okay, Macaroni backs it's a symbolic repeal of France's slavery laws, but he warns against false promises on reparations. So make him galang. Yeah, he warns against false promises, as they say in Jamaica, galang. Yeah, because it's rubbish that you're talking. You know it is. Yeah, pasa. Yeah, that's all it is. These white hypocrites always talk with forked tongue, and we must take what is ours, yeah? We must take what's ours. We mustn't wait on their justice, because this was a law. That's why I said we cannot trust their laws. We have to make our own, okay? And it's time for us to get justice. It's time for us to get reckless. I've been saying this for a long time. It's time for us to get reckless. People say to me, Juliet, what do you mean by reckless? You know, use your brain. It's time for us to get reckless. If they're not going to give us reparation, it's time for us to take it. Yeah? France ran the third largest slave trade. Yeah? Shipping, right? They put down just 1.4 million Africans to plantations. They put 1.4. It's a lie, let me tell you. Right? It's a lie. They always try to be conservative when they're giving out their numbers. They know it's much more than that. Right? France ran the third largest slave trade. So if England was on 13 to 14 million, how could they be the third largest with 1.4? What a load of crap, right? Two plantations whose sugar wealth built French cities of the Nantes and Bordeaux, isn't it? Bordeaux, Bordeaux, and its empire later spanned 4 continents. So you mean to tell me all that for 1.4 people, 1.4 million people? Is a lie. Yeah? Others see the repealing as something more telling, a symptom, they argue, of the country that has yet fully to reckon with their past. Yeah, one of many slow steps. One of many slow steps. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Kath, could you help me with some water, please, hon? Yeah, that's probably why I've got dry mouth. Anyway, basically, let me just say that France did not relinquish its slave colonies. Okay. And the 4 of the oldest are Guadeloupe, Martinique, French Guiana, and Réunion. So they repelled this old law, but they haven't repelled their colonies. Do you understand? So it's the same BS, different day. Oh yeah, Max Mathiasin. His name is Max Mathiasin. That's his name. I knew I would find him. Max Mathiasin from Guadeloupe had brought copies of the text over the years and left them on his shelf. As the great grandson of the people who were enslaved, I have never been able to read it in full. This was made by inhumane beings against human beings. Yeah, I'm sure when they wrote it, they wrote human beings against human beings. No, he said inhumane beings against human beings. And he's right. Yeah, for him, the vote is a way of restoring our ancestors, restoring our humanity. But as an insult, there is no reparations. Taking liberties is not the same as having liberty. They're taking liberties. We're not having liberty. They're taking liberties. The barefaced hypocrisy of France, whose motto is liberty, equality, and fraternity, it needs to be living up to their Republican promise. Leave Africans and Africa alone to have their liberty. That's what I say. Yeah. But anyway, in Guadeloupe, Mathias said in the most important position is the structures, yeah, of the state. They are white. The structures of the state in Guadeloupe, they are still white. And I think in most of the colonized countries, it's the same. 200 years on, the legacy of colonization. He said, the legacy of colonialism remains firmly intact in Haiti, yeah, and across Africa. Exactly what I just said. 200 years on, the legacy of colonialism remains firmly intact in Haiti and across Africa. No change at all. That's what he said. The foundation for the memory of slavery is chaired by former Prime Minister Jean-Marc Ayrault, and also deputy is Pierre-Yves Bocquet, and both are white men. Imagine, yeah? I don't even want to say what they said, because you know I don't want to talk no white man talk. I'm just fed up of them, yeah? It says, France is hardly the only country still holding fragments. They love to talk about, oh, but we're not the only ones. They love to gaslight. I'm so sick and tired of their victim mentality. What they got to be victim about? You understand? You know what you did to our ancestors. You know what you did to us. You understand? You know exactly what you did. So there's one area I wanted to say under. Hang on, there was a part that was talking about Haiti. Okay, for a lady, her name is Florence Alexis, a slavery expert and daughter of the Haitian writer Jacques Stephen Alexis. The real turning point came 25 years ago. She said when they repealed. Anyway, how can that be when nothing has really changed? Nothing. Symbolic neglect is also neglect, she said. I thought she said something hard-hitting, but she didn't really. Okay, so it's just lots and lots of information that I have, okay? And on April 17th, 1825, Haitian President Jean-Pierre Boyer was coerced into accepting. This is what I wanted to say about Haiti. Here it is. On April 17th, 1825, Haitian President Jean-Pierre Boyer was coerced into accepting an indemnity of sorry about that. I should have put it on Don't Disturb. 1 second. It's on now. On April 17th, sorry, I'll say it again, 1825, Haitian President Jean-Pierre Boyer was coerced into accepting an indemnity of 150 million gold francs in exchange for French recognition of his country's independence. Manumissions. You see, this is what they do all the time. Haiti's independence, yeah, ransom. That's what it was. And it still is. It still is. Yeah? Macaroni offers half-truth. Yeah? Haitians want reparations. That's what we want. So on the same thread of reparations, I would like to say to you, Ghana. Now, Ghana was approached by the Pope, and the Pope, Lego Poop, right, who recently went to Africa, yeah, has made an apology for the Catholic Church's historical role in slavery. So you just heard me talk about the church's role imposing their religion, making enslaved Africans become Catholics. Now, as you see the lead on, so the first I spoke about Code Noir, okay? Now I'm going to talk about Ghana, like I told you, and about the poop, I can't say it without laughing to myself, sorry. The poop has apologized for the Catholic Church's role in slavery, okay? So, the poop, I need you to understand, we want reparations, poop. Okay, that's what we want. Okay, as I said, Ghana, we want reparations. Sorry is not is like a poop Lego. It is not enough. Yeah, the Catholic Church must pay up and return our land, because what a lot of people don't realize is that the church took so much African land. Yes, the water, please, baby. Yeah, water. Yeah, no, just take some. It's all right. Even if it's frozen, it's okay. I put it in the freezer, but I didn't realize it was going to freeze. Just put some water on top for me, okay? So Ghana has welcomed, or Andre, whichever one. So Ghana has welcomed Pope Leo apology from the Catholic Church's historical role in slavery. I'll say it again. Ghana has welcomed Pope Leo apology for the Catholic Church's role in slavery, describing it as an act of moral courage. That was important in the global pursuit of truth, human dignity, and justice. Do you agree? Tell me in the comments, how long did Haiti pay reparations for? This is what I just explained to you. It was from 1825. It was from April 17th. I'm just answering your question. Mark B8 27. It was from April 17th, 1825. Haitian President Jean-Pierre Bert was coerced into accepting an indemnity of 150 million gold francs in exchange for French's recognition of his country's independence. It was from then, okay? So you can count backwards. From then, sorry, I'm just answering your questions. So Liliani Resurrection said, reparations aren't discussed because each country will be bankrupt. No sum of money can restore life. Accepted, but you know, there is such a thing called compensation, my dear. My dear Liliani, yeah? Action is better than no action. And something is better than nothing. And our lives will not be taken for nothing. No, there is no payment. But you know what? At the end of the day, we must take, right, what is rightfully ours. We paid taxes to pay compensation to slave owners. So does that mean that we shouldn't demand them back? Yeah? So My Serenity 1130, nice name. How do you feel about Jamaica? In what sense, how do I feel about Jamaica? Explain. Yeah. So Ghana, we want reparations, like I was saying. So, thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. Oh, baobab, lovely. Love a baobab. Baobab is so good for you. I think I did a program on it before. So, I put water in the freezer and it froze up. So okay, so let me just hang on, I didn't see that. Okay, for your comment. Okay, so how do I feel about this? Okay, I'll tell you. So Ghana welcomed Pope Leo's apology by the Catholic Church's historic role in slavery, describing it as an act of moral courage. And he said that it was important in the global pursuit of truth, human dignity and justice. We cannot discuss this so-called apology published in the mainstream press without first looking back at the Pope's role in African chattel slavery. Or let's say the Catholic churches or the Vatican, whichever you want to say, role in chattel slavery. Here's a quick refresh. So dim verses, I think I've mentioned this to you before. If you've been watching BlaXit, you remember. So dim verses is a PayPal bull. If you remember that when they smoke things, they do those smoke things and they go up, yeah? It's a PayPal bull issued by Pope Nicholas, I think 5th on June 18th, 1452. It authorized the King of Portugal to conquer non-Christians, Africans, and to reduce them to perpetual slavery. Okay, so this was a PayPal bull which was issued by the church on June the 18th, 1452. So, you know, go to cast your mind back for me, okay? And imagine this happening at the Vatican with this poof, poof, poof of smoke thing coming up and everything, okay? Now, this decree provided religious justifications for the transatlantic slave trade and colonization. The context and impact of dim verses, yeah, and that's spelled D-U-M, just in case you want to look it up yourself, D-U-M-V-I, did you what I said? D-I-M, yeah, so that's, no, D-U-M, Julia. It's D-U-M, dumb, like dumb, but without the B, yeah? And then it's diversus, D-I-V-E-R-S-A-S, diversus. So it's dumb, diversus, yeah? Okay, so the mandate of Pope Nicholas granted what's wrong with me today? King Alfonso, yeah, of Portugal, the right to attack, conquer, and subjugate Saracens, yeah? And Saracens were, at the time, Africans who were Muslims, pagans, or basically anyone who was not a Catholic. Okay, and they saw them as enemies of Christ. So they saw your ancestors as enemies of Christ into perpetual servitude. The bull permitted the Portuguese to seize the lands and properties of non-Christians and force the people into permanent slavery. That's what the church agreed to. Okay, now you're going to see the get out clause in a minute. This is why I'm reading this to you, so you put it into context. Okay, this is what they agreed to. Okay, you heard that, perpetual servitude. They could take our lands, they could take our lives, they could take everything from us. Okay, and force us into permanent. You heard what I said? Permanent. Yeah, slavery. Okay, because we were enemies of Christ. Okay, and we had to be put into perpetual servitude. The bull, that's why I don't understand certain things. You know, I think it was T.I. I was talking to someone today, and I think he said it was T.I. that said, oh, you know, we hate everything about slavery except for religion. We hate everything about slavery except for Christianity. No, it seems like it's true, isn't it? Right? Anyway, the bull permitted the Portuguese to seize the lands and the properties of non-Christians and force the people into permanent slavery. Historical justification, it transformed the enslavement of Africans and indigenous peoples into a holy cause. You hear? It made it into a holy cause. It means they could justify it by using their religious books, okay? A holy cause under the banner of spreading Christianity. Can you imagine? They did this to us under Christianity. I don't even understand. That's why I couldn't be a Christian, I'm sorry, right? They did it under the banner of spreading Christianity, laying the legal foundation for centuries of colonial exploitation. Follow-up decrees, the bull Romanus Profonticus was in 1455, and the Inter is called Caetera, was in 1493, were later issued reinforcing. So if they want to try and get out of it, let them come with their ass clout lies. Excuse me. Mind my language, sorry. Let them come with their lies. That slip, that's a Jamaican slip, I'm so sorry, right? Let them come with their lies, yeah? I apologize for the language. I do. I don't usually do that. I do apologize twice this week. I don't know what's wrong with me. Right. Anyway, this doctrine and granting Portugal a monopoly over African trade routes. Yeah. This was later issues reinforcing this doctrine and granting Portugal a monopoly over African trade routes. Okay. Now, we all know that there are even Bible verses, right? Some texts have been, long disputed. Some are in the Old Testament. Some are in the Torah. Some, outline different things. But there's like the New Testament passages like, I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, Ephesians 6.5, instruct slaves to obey their masters, while also instructing masters to treat their slaves with justice and fairness. The Slave Bible... Why did I write that? Sometimes I make my own self laugh, right? So how can you on one hand instructing people to obey their masters and then tell them to treat with justice and fairness? How does that make any sense? Anyway. And also, there was a removal of about 90% of that. And then there was another area where they talked about... the exodus, of us leaving. And that's what we should be doing, is we should be leaving their lands, okay, and coming back to Africa, right? Because it's serious. But anyway, in a PayPal letter titled Magnifica Humanitas. Sorry, Magnifica Humanitas. Magnificent humanity, okay? The Pope said sincerely and asked for a pardon in the name of the church. I told you it was a poop. He said pardon. I'm sorry, my sense of humor might be off this week. He said pardon. He's a poop. Do you get it? You get it? Anyway, so the Pope said pardon. The Pope asked for a pardon, in the name of the church, adding, so that should be the Vatican and the church, by the way, adding that it was impossible not to feel deep sorrow when contemplating the immense suffering and humiliation endured by so many. Wow. So it took you how many hundreds of years? When did I tell you the inverse test was? It's taken them from 1452 to 2026. Huh? And they want us to take them seriously. Listen, just pay up. Give reparations, restitution, all the rest of it. We want it. We want it now. Okay? Words are very nice, but they don't have a long-lasting legacy, okay? In terms of what you've already done to us, we want compensation. I guess a hair from my locks is tickling my nose, sorry. Okay, that's what we want. So he said that, Pope said that the church and authorities had at times responded to requests of rulers. This is their get out clause. This is what I told you. That's why I read dim verses to you. Okay. He said the church authorities, let's also say the Vatican, had at times responded to requests of rulers by regulating and legitimizing forms of subjugation, including the enslavement of non-Christians. Doesn't want to say Africans. Okay. Doesn't want to say Africans. Oh, sorry. Now let me read some of your comments. Okay. So Mark said the US Army occupied Haiti to enforce reparation payments to France. Yes, you're absolutely right. Unjustly. They did. I mean, what's been done to Haiti is just the most unjust and inhumane treatment done to peoples. And I know they were using HARP against them as well to create all the kind of damage that they've created as well. Okay, Alpha Day Runner says Haiti only recently finished paying reparations to France. All who participated must pay for hundreds, but they won't until Africans are powerful enough to demand payment. Africa, i.e. Africa has consolidated its control of its own resources and withhold them. Absolutely. Alpha Day Runner, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. That is exactly it. Until we start to control our resources. I don't know where this hair is coming from. Right? Until we start to control our resources across the continent. I was even reading about another deal in Central Guinea. You know, today for gas, I'm just heartbroken sometimes when I see the deals that, you know, these people are going in and still negotiating in 2026, where the countries are hardly getting anything from their resources. It's still happening. The recent copper deal, like I was saying to you, copper mine deal that they have when they're renting, but you're not making the money. You know, oh my gosh, it's so sad. And that's why I said there needs to be more of a connection of the diaspora coming into Africa, because it's time for us to share our ideas together and also share the wealth of wisdom and information that we have, and to learn as well from Africa, because we've lost all of our indigenous knowledge has been lost. We don't have any when we're coming from England. We've been stripped of it. We've been stripped of our language, stripped of our culture. We've been stripped of everything. So, you know, it's a great, you know, way for us to get together. We can tell you about the enemy, and you can help ingratiate us and tell us about our culture, about who we are, you know, our gracious past. So Magweri, yeah, 6273. These people, yeah, truly do not regard us as humans at all, just as perpetual slaves. Well, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is exactly what it is. So this is what he said anyway. The Pope said church authorities, let's say the Vatican and the Catholic Church, yeah, they love to shorten things. Yeah, the Catholic Church and the Vatican, yeah, authorities had at times responded to requests of rulers by regulating and legitimizing forms of subjugation, including the enslavement of non-Christians, of Africans, basically. Now, the thing is, why did anyone have power over the church to do that? They were complicit because they were benefiting. You know, they're not innocent victims in all of this. Oh, let's play the victim role. No, it doesn't work. You were complicit in it. We just read Dumb Versus, so we know. Just like this hair keeps tickling my nose, I'm so sorry. So Ghana was a major hub for the transatlantic slave trade, chattel slave trade, when millions of Africans were captured and loaded onto ships, never to return home. The same as so many other African countries, but they chose Ghana to do a report with. So between the 16th and the 19th centuries, 12 to 15 million Africans were shipped to the Caribbean, with about 2 million dying during the journey. I think it's more. Ghana has been leading efforts for compensation and apologies from Western nations for the slave trade. Now, I read to you last week where they've been asked to write a report. Yeah. And so this is probably why the church has all of a sudden apologized. Yeah. Now, I also, moving on from this subject, I also said I was going to talk about some of the dangerous repercussions. This here is getting on my nerves, right? The dangerous repercussions of the South African agoraphobia and Afrophobia. And yes, I said agoraphobia. Why did I say agoraphobia? Because agoraphobia is a type of intense, like, stress and anxiety, and we have it, especially around white people, and that's why I called it, right? And Afrophobia. And anyway, one of the activists was shot dead. Yeah, a controversial South African anti-immigration activist was reportedly shot dead in the Northwest province, according to local media reports. The activist, known for his outspoken criticism of undocumented foreign nationals and strong views on immigration, was killed during an incident on Monday evening. Authorities in South Africa have confirmed that investigations are underway, although details surrounding the motive and circumstances of the shooting remain unclear. Now, I've got another story to tell you that's going to link with this, okay? The incident has sparked renewed debate over Afrophobia and immigration tensions and political activism in the country. The activists had gained national attention in recent years through public protests, social media campaigns targeting illegal immigration and crime. Supporters described him as a defender of local communities, while critics like me accused him of promoting Afrophobia and also terrible sentiments, anti-African sentiments against other African nationals living in South Africa. So police have urged people to remain calm as investigations continue. Now listen, right? Gonna tell you what happened. Okay. Oh, let me read some of your comments. Okay, thank you. Hi, Joseph Edwards. How are you? Yeah. So Pakistani foreign nationals were seen caught on camera. Listen to this. Yeah, with AK-47s. This is in South Africa. Okay. Okay. AK-47s for self-defense. Yeah, at a mall where vigilantes, it was caught on camera, where South African vigilantes went to they say loot. I don't know if that was the objective, but they were seen foreign shops during the Dudula protest in Durban. Now they came out with AK-47s, so they didn't attack them because they came out with big guns. Now, had other African nationals come out with big guns, they would have been arrested straight away. Yeah, they had to stand and be beaten and attacked and be defenseless. They couldn't even defend themselves. They couldn't have weapons. Why? Because they would have been arrested straight away. Police watched while they were beaten. That's what I said. There's too much insidiousness in this whole situation. Okay? And then guess what happens? So while all those other protests were carrying on and we were calling for people to be arrested for assault, etc., etc. Sorry, Kath, did you want me? Catherine, I can hear you. Okay. So while they were, out there on the street, attacking other Africans of other nations, the police were standing by and they were watching. Now, did you see these Pakistanis who came out with the AK-47s get arrested? No. Did you see anything happen? They even fired shots. So this other man that was killed, it wouldn't surprise me if he was killed by a foreign national, maybe with an another foreign national, with an AK-47, not an African foreign national, but a foreign national with an AK-47, because it seems like they had no issue in wielding the gun. And I saw the footage. But guess what else happened? Between the 24th and the 28th of May. So imagine, after all of the beatings have gone on, after Ghana's gone in and saying they're removing their people, Nigeria going in and saying they're removing their people, Zimbabwe is saying they're removing all these different countries are saying they're removing their people. Guess what happens? Guess what happens? Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you so much. Thank you. Guess what happens? On the 24th through to the 28th of May, okay? South African police, after they've done beat all of the black people, mashed up all of the black people's businesses, other Africans, the police arrest over 140 people. And guess why? Because they were involved in a series of coordinated vigilante attacks targeting Chinese and Asian businesses. Boom! I dropped the mic. What say you? Hotep. Guarda 9, Hotep. Yeah, Joseph, how you doing? Joseph Edward. And hey, Khoisan Talks, how you doing? Hey, Sylvie. Yeah? Hey, Kwase Usi, peace and blessings, family. What do you say? And you know what? Subi said this. Subi said this. Yeah? She predicted this because she told me. And I was like, wow, really? And now I see it with my own eyes. What she said was true. So if you go back and you listen to the live, when she was on the live and we were talking about South Africa a few weeks ago, you will see that what she said has come to pass, right? Because she said, let them attack other people's businesses that are non-African, and then you'll see a different attitude from the government. Exactly what she said, exactly came to pass. Because 140 people that were involved in a series of coordinated vigilante attacks targeting Chinese and Asian business owners. The specific trend of vigilante raids on these Chinese manufacturing plants and businesses has escalated alongside high-profile state actions against illegal labor. So now they get arrested. Yeah? They did nothing while African nationals were targeted. What is the message South Africa is sending out? And what has made it worse is that tourism has suffered terribly, terribly, as predicted. Yeah? And the man that died, it's a life, it's a life that's lost. It really is. And it's so sad. But here, you see, so this week we have the repealing of the Code Noir. We have the Pope Leo, yeah, now apologizing for the Vatican and the Catholic Church's role in slavery all in 1 week. What is going on? Yeah, I'm telling you what it is, the Sahel. Now let me go and talk about a little bit about the Sahel and the dirty tricks that they're playing. But I also want to talk a little bit about Ebola again as well. I don't want to go without talking about Kenya and Ebola. It's very important, okay? So let me just touch on the Sahel. So they've now started a whole new propaganda campaign against the Sahel. Now, as you know, it was ALD, African Liberation Day. And I watched footage on Monday about African Liberation Day. I watched it from both perspectives. And I thought it was very important. I looked at the fact that, the AU is not recognizing the Sahel and the Sahel Alliance, the AES, because they came from junta, or they came from what they saw as coups. And for that fact, they're not recognizing them because of the looms. Now, why don't you just change the looms? Because we should have independence by whatever means necessary. We shouldn't have to stick to, such rigid rules, such as the so-called democracy. So this is one of the things. I don't think that it was one of the rules of the founding fathers and mothers of, I don't know if there was any mothers there, but the founding fathers of the AU. If there was a mother there, I do apologize, sister, okay, if I missed your name out. Of the founders of the AU was to be so subjugated, was to be so rigid, was to be so inflexible, so that when we're fighting for our freedom, we're not going to recognize that. Now, they've started this new thing on Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore. Let's stand by them. Let's stand by them tall. Let's stand by Goita. Let's stand by all of the leaders. Let's stand by them, okay, of the AES Alliance, of the Sahel Alliance, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, because as you know, they've now come with a new tool, and this is now they are using the students' unions. So they're filling their head with rhetoric and crap because they're looking for a way to fragment and to intercept. Now listen, no students. Like I said, you're worried about security, so why put yourself in the line of insecurity? It makes no sense. Stop being used as tools. As students, get in line when you know that you are fighting against an enemy such as the colonialists, okay? All of them, because they all gather together, When you know who you're fighting against, you'll know it's time to stand in line in solidarity. And that's what I expect the students to do. If you have an issue, then go and discuss it privately. Okay? And so now they're trying to make it look like, oh, anyone who disagrees with them, they're doing this, they're doing that. But you know what? They have to keep control. Because they know that the white man is going to use any tool necessary. They'll use any gap, any inkling, any person, any body, any organization, any institution. They will use everything and anything that they can to try and break this alliance. And we must protect them. We must. We must. As Pan-Africanists, we must protect them. So if there's a message that I take away from African Liberation Day is this, and the last one that I will end on by King Maponga. And thank you to PLO Lumumba as well. You know, you're doing great works. You're doing great works. And it's very important that we do this. And I would like to say another takeaway that I took from watching the ALD is that we're now coming together and we're now uniting more. We're now beginning to, agree on so many other issues. And now we see the importance of sovereignty. We know we should have the united empires of Akabulan. Come away from Africa. Let's have the United Nations, or United Empires of Akabulan. What do you think about that? Maybe we come away from the word altogether. Okay, so let me just read some of these comments. There's quite a few. Okay, Kwasi, peace and blessings. Yeah. So Khoisan Talk says, the truth will be out, Usi. Yeah. Khoisan Talk says, Usi and family, these governments orchestrated terrorist attacks against Africans, including us Bushmen, who they see as a threat. Guarda 9 says, Kemi Seba was arrested in South Africa. Wow, really? Okay. And Khoisan Talks, yeah, I think I did see that actually about Kemi Seba. I did see that. Yeah, he said that he overstayed he's overstayed on his visa or something like that. So Khoisan Talk says, as you mentioned previously, it transpired. Yeah, she accepts that. Also, Marcia Black 9339 says, hi Nyancho, they're also trying to use religion to divide people in Burkina Faso, and they will. And they will use everything and anything that they can use to stop the forward movement of the AES, because they know that we are behind them 100%. They know that they are leading against colonization, defeating colonization. We are anti-colonization. We are anti-slavery, because it's just an extension of slavery. It's an extension of slavery without the chains. Their education system, their religious systems, everything that they do is a trick to enslave our minds so that we don't take control of our own destiny. We don't have self-determination. We don't take control of our resources. It's our resources they want, and control of us. And now when we're waking up, we're saying, you know what, Lao you, no, you can keep that. I don't want that. You want your blue-eyed Jesus? No, I don't want your blue-eyed Jesus. I'm sorry, but I'm good. Yeah. You want to give me your education? No, I'm good. I can read for myself. I'm good. I can look at your business myself. I'm good. I can learn tech myself. I'm good. Yeah, no, I got my own resources. I'm good. No, I got my own house in Africa. No mortgage, no rent, no nothing. I've got my solar. I've got my borehole. I'm good. No, I don't need you, thanks. I'm good. Yeah, I'm independent now. I'm good. No, I don't suffer from racism anymore, so I don't have the daily trauma that used to give me every day when I was living in England, when I thought that I had to be politically correct, and I used to be worrying about what I was going to say every day. No, I'm good, because now I can say what I like. Because I'm good. I'm free now. I'm in Africa. I'm living in Africa and I'm loving my life. Yeah, I'm good. So this is it. This is what they don't want you to say. This is what they don't want you to be. Yeah, I've been living in Africa for how many years? I've been coming back and forth to Africa for how many years? You understand? I think I said 32 years. Actually, I think it's more like 34. I got my years wrong, but it doesn't matter. Right? Since the age of 22. Yeah, no, it's 33. 33 years. Yeah. My first time in Africa when I was 22. So this is what I'm saying to you. This is the life. This is the life. I'm loving it living here. I'm absolutely loving it living here. And I want more of you to come. And I'm launching a new settlement. I'm launching a new settlement. I haven't got the name for it yet. I'm wondering about calling it Akabulan. Yeah. I'm thinking about calling it Akabulan. Tell me what you think, okay? So our next repatriation land settlement, I think we'll be calling it Akabulan. But we're also going to be reaching out to other regions, and I'm currently reaching out to another region in Africa. And I will be keeping you on hold because I'll be putting information about it on the main channel, okay? On the main channel. So I'll be letting you know about it, okay? And I'm currently just cementing everything together. So MJ, the dancing machine, welcome back. Yeah, they used religion to divide Sudan, and it used to be the biggest country in Africa. There you have it. They will use anything that they have. And you know what the thing with that, you know what the thing is with us, yeah, is that we suffer from too much guilt, like Subi said, too much fear and too much doubt. That's it. And they took away all of our indigenous cultures, our indigenous spirituality, and they forced us, like I told you, to have Catholicism. And this is part of where the brainwashing was, because they know once they give you one generation of Catholicism, they know that it's going to go down to generation. So they're going to have generation after generation after generation after generation of control over us. And that's exactly what they wanted. Joe Santalk says, Lillian, I'm saying this today. We as Africans will be free from any tyranny. Who is there to protect the whites and keep the resources of this country in white hands? Or is that territory? Did I read that wrong? This today, we are Africans. We will be free from any. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be tyranny. Yeah. So writing small. Okay, and Question Talk says, MJ, okay, the dancing, she's responding back. They said they use religion to divide Muslims against Christians, Christians against Bushman practice. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let me talk about, so ALD, I think that the AU, based on the founding principles, we need to go back to the drawing board and maybe review the loom, okay? I'll maybe discuss the loom with you because we're short on time now. I've got to try and close up soon. I will try and discuss the loom with you and how the loom was created, which are the rules. Okay, LOME. Okay, those are the rules based on the democratic, the way in which the AU accept members to the union. Okay. Or reject members from the union. It's based on a set of rules. I'll maybe go through it with you next week. But I think that they're in need of refinement, okay? Because how are we going to fight against colonialism? Because the AU accepted the leaders that were doing blunders, the leaders that were corrupt, the leaders that were keeping their countries in bondage, keeping their people in poverty. And they accepted them. But the people that are liberating their people, the people that are now bringing them out and taking responsibility for their people, giving their people housing, giving their people good health, giving their people agricultural food, giving them all of the things that they wasn't having, new roads, new infrastructure, new education, new money, and getting rid of all their debt. That now they're saying no. Like, how does make that make sense? So does that mean that AU only really supports those that are subjugating and being corrupt to the people that they rule? You understand? They need to renew that. Look at the loom. Someone look at the loom. If you want, put it in the comment section. Okay. Let's talk about this because it makes no sense. Look at what Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have done. They've renegotiated those contracts, okay, with those colonizers, making sure that they have an interest. Instead of having unfair contracts where they only get 5% or 10%, they're now negotiating contracts with other countries, getting much larger percentages, 45 and 50%. That goes to their people. They're now building up the infrastructure of their countries, building up the defense systems of their countries, building up the housing, the social housing of their countries, building up the roads of their countries, building up the factories, the manufacturing, the refinery. They're now refining their own products. They're now taking control. They are now making sure that schools even teaching their own local languages. They're now starting to, take away the colonial names. Listen, they are doing so much. They are doing so much. They've got, portable clinics. They've got new hospitals, new airport they're building. Look how much they're doing. They cancelled the IMF debt. They cancelled the World Bank loan. What are you talking about? And what are you talking about? They shouldn't be members. Are you not right? Come on now. Hello. That's why everybody should just go and join the AES. Everybody go and say 2 fingers up to the ECOWAS, all of those ones that are funded by white people, and just go to AES, because it's not funded by white people. And let's just start there, because it's like, if they can't support you, then go and do your own thing. And everybody, African nations that want to do that. I mean, look at what's happening in Senegal right now. That's why I say Sonko's a Pan-Africanist. And that's the reason why him and Faye had this big disapproval, this big beating out. That's why Faye was going to France, going to America. When I saw that, I was like, hey, that's not Pan-Africans. You don't see Ibrahima Traoré going to Africa, going to America. You don't see Ibrahima Traoré going back and forth to France and to America. No, you don't. Why not? Because they're Pan-Africanists. And what Sonko's in good position. Let Sonko now go. You understand? Exactly. Yeah, Burkina built electric cars. It's true. So much. Absolutely. Aquafa, yeah. As well as that, they got tomato paste, tomato factories. They got so much, yeah. These so-called leaders are all working for the colonizers. Exactly. FOR says AU has to be co-opted by the colonizers to prevent the self-determination. Exactly. So if they can't stand up and do what's right, the AES, the people should join the AES. It's as simple as that. It's just as simple as that. Now, let me tell you why. I'm going to give you an example of why. So let's talk about Ebola again. Don't say to me, Nyancho Ebola again. Don't say that to me. I know you talked about it before, but listen, this is the reason why. This is a heads up. I always give you the heads up, okay? So Kenya's government, you knew I was going to say Kenya. I tell you, Ruta is like, I don't know, Ruta, I want to regulate Ruta, I'm telling you, right? Because Kenya's government is proceeding with preparations to open a US-backed, listen to this, I want you to hear me very clearly, a US-backed Ebola isolation facility, yeah, in Laikipia. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, so forgive me. Laikipia Air Base. Yeah, explicitly, defying a high court order. So imagine, high court order said, no, you can't do it. You're not going to do it. No, we don't want you to go and do that there, right? Ruto said, what? You can't regulate me, right? So then now he explicitly defied the high court order that temporarily halted the project. So the court said, no, you're not building no Ebola isolation thing for Americans in Africa, no, strictly no. So what did they go out and say? They went and he struck a deal between the administrations of William Ruto and Donald Trump. Sorry, no, I said the wrong name, Donald Duck, right? So Willie Regulate and Donald Duck creates a 50-bed quarantine site intended for American citizens exposed to Ebola during the current outbreak in Central Africa. What does that tell you? Let me just stop for a minute because there's a lot more I want to share. But what does that tell you in the comment section? What is that a predictor for? Yeah, weak leaders. Too many weak leaders. Yeah? It's like I was talking to someone, right? I was talking to someone, and the man said to me, I got to give you a joke. The man said to me, Juliet, when I land in Gambia, yeah, you're going to marry me. I says, what? The man says to me, when I land in Gambia, you're going to marry me. What is wrong with these men? Huh? Marry you? What for? Listen, some men, I don't even understand their mentality. You know, I barely know you. Marry you for what? Are you mad? Insane in his membrane. I swear down. You know? And this is what I think it is. I think that some men are too entitled. They're too arrogant. They're just too, you know, some of these leaders, it's like, you know, something's wrong with them. Something's wrong with them. Why would you do this? Huh? Why would you do this? What does this say to you? Someone tells you, yeah, I'm going to come to a country and I'm going to build, yeah, a facility, an Ebola isolation facility. What are they telling you? Tell me in the comment section, what do you think they're telling you? They're telling you they're going to build an Ebola isolation center in your country. What does that tell you? That, and this is for their own servicemen. This is for their own army. What is this telling you? What the hell? You mean to bring and infest and annihilate? Aha! Thank you. Who's that? Liliani Resurrection. Absolutely. So anyway, this creates a 50-bed quarantine site intended for American citizens exposed to Ebola during the current outbreak in Central Africa. So here we go again, okay? The decision has caused a massive domestic backlash, pitting the government's international security commitments against local courts, medical professionals, and the public. The project and the geopolitical shift, the location, the construction is set for, like I said to you, Laikipia Air Base, a highly secure military facility in central Kenya. Central Kenya. Yeah? Thank you, Mod. Yeah? Satellite tracking already indicates that the ground clearing began shortly before the court injunction. The mission. What is their mission? What do you think their mission is? The facility is designed to take in and monitor asymptomatic Americans who were exposed to Ebola while responding to the emergency in the Democratic Republic of Congo or Uganda. Now, the, oops, sorry. Oops. No, water, I spilled water. So the staffing, can you get me a cloth, please, Maud? Made a mess. Can you bring me a cloth, please, Maud? Thank you. Okay. So the facility is designed to take in and monitor I think I said that, isn't it? Asymptomatic Americans who were exposed to Ebola while responding to the emergency in the Democratic Republic of Congo or Uganda. The staffing, it will be operated by the U.S. Public Health Service. I'm sorry, but that's my alarm. That's my alarm. That's my alarm going off. Right? Big alarm. The staffing will be operated by the U.S. Public Health Service. Commission Corps. Do you know what? Do you trust them? I don't trust them. Never have, never will. Don't trust them. Thank you, hon. Right? Thank you. Sorry, I made a big mess on the table. So, yeah, where was I? Yeah, don't trust them, okay? A uniformed service branch under the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, yeah? So the Department of Health and Human Services, right? Deployed American personnel have already arrived at the airbase. Jiggers. Yes, Liliani, I forgot about that. Yes, exactly. Jiggers, you were the one that told me about Jiggers, actually. Jiggers still in Kenya, which was used during the war with Tanzania. Yeah, they used a Jiggers disease. It's an insect that spreads a disease. Check out Jiggers. In fact, what I might do is do some research and share it with you to show you how they've used biological warfare before. Okay? So anyway, policy rift or policy shift. The site represents a massive pivot in US biosecurity policy. Listen to this. The site represents a massive pivot in US biosecurity policy. During 2014 and 2016, West Africa crisis exposed Americans were treated on home soil. The Donald Duck administration explicitly stated it cannot or will not allow potential Ebola cases to cross back into the United States. Question is, who bought it in the first place? Any answers? Who bought it in the first place? Come on, fam. BlaXit fam, BlaXit family, BlaXit family, BlaXit family. Okay. Ayo, what did you say? Ayo Kafua said, I don't like the term asymptomatic. That means they can put anyone there for detention. What I'm thinking is that they're looking to spread it, dearest. This is what I'm thinking. Okay, I don't know if you're getting my gist. Why I'm saying this is that they're trying to create another Ebola outbreak in Africa. That's what I think that they're trying to do. While Africa's becoming stable, so they've tried, all of these so-called diplomatic routes. So now they've gone back to doing what they've always done, just like when they were backing in the 80s. Do you remember the war between Iraq and Iran when Iraq was using chemical weapons and they were being told where to go and bomb by the Americans? They always do it. They always do it. There's nothing new here. Yeah, so I actually think, I'll tell you why. I'll go on and tell you why. I think that they're trying to do a new Ebola outbreak in Africa. That's what I think. You probably won't hear it coming from many other people, but this is definitely my perspective. Because why else would you need to build this? Why else would they be on the ground there? And why else would an African country accept them? So anyway, the legal bloc and government defiance, the Katiba Institute and the Law Society of Kenya launched a fast-track constitutional challenge against the agreement. They wouldn't challenge this if there was no threat. They wouldn't challenge this if they thought that, it was safe for Kenya, safe for Africa. They wouldn't challenge it, but they are. And why was there already a high court challenge going on? So there must be a huge threat involved. Yeah? So the legal bloc and government defiance, the Katiba Institute and the Law Society of Kenya launched a fast-track constitutional challenge against the agreement. On Thursday, High Court Judge Patricia Nyundi, I hope I said the name wrong, I'm sorry if I didn't, sorry Judge. Yeah, Nyundi issued emergency orders barring the state from establishing the facility or admitting any exposed travelers until the case is fully evaluated. Big on you, Judge Nyundi. Yeah, I hope I said your name right. Patricia Nyundi. Yeah, good on you. Despite the court's strict instructions, listen to this. Despite the court's strict, that's why I said something is going in, BlaXit family. Listen. Despite the court's strict instructions, the Kenyan Ministry of Health and Defense officials have pressed ahead. Exactly. Liliani said, isn't it odd we speak about reparations and your plan is Ebola? Of course. Of course. Of course. They had to come with something. They had to come with something. And they said that there's going to be they've been planning this for a long time. Because I heard about it before, 2025 to 2026, So dense officials have pressed ahead with a logistics setup promoting widespread, hang on a minute. Despite the court's strict instructions, the Kenya Ministry of Health and Defense officials, have pressed ahead with the logistical setup, promoting widespread condemnation of state, yeah, on contempt of court, because they broke the court order. So Kenyan Health Secretary Aden Duale, I don't know if I said his name right either, but I hope so, defended the nation's broad health alignment, highlighting that the US historically anchors 25 to 35% of Kenya's health budget money. You see, this is the thing. This is the thing. So they got them by their short and curlies. So what he's basically saying is that America gives us 25 to 35% of our health budget every year. So if we don't, then hospitals will lose funding. We won't get medication. We won't get this. We won't get that. How about you bloody stand on your own 2 feet, Kenya? And stop relying on America. That's what you have to do. You have to become self-reliant. You have to have self-determination. You have to become sovereign. What's all this that your health budget comes, 25 to 35% of your health budget comes from America? So they've got you, they got you by the short and curlies. That's what they've got. Yeah? So including a newly signed 2.5 billion. This is why they've got them. They signed a 2.5 billion bilateral pact. Yeah? Washington also announced a 13.5 million funding injection to bolster Kenya's local Ebola defenses. You know, that's what they do. They give it to you and then they give you funding to say they're going to protect you from it. So now you know where it's coming from. Now you know exactly what they're going to do. Yeah? Growing domestic and global backlash, the decision to push forward with the site has sparked fierce resistance across several sectors. Medical unions, the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, KMPDU, threatened immediate strike actions. Union head Dr. Javi Bamaji Atela forcefully noted, if it is too dangerous for America, it's too dangerous for Kenya. Exactly. If it's too dangerous for America, it's way too dangerous for Kenya. Warning against treating the country as a containment colony. What they're asked, you want to come bring your, listen, send your diseased people back to America, okay? There are also sovereignty concerns as well. Local leaders in Laikipia County, including the governor and members of parliament, have heavily criticized the secrecy of the deal, citing the zero logical sense of putting an isolation hub for a foreign country in their backyard. Not only that, in central Kenya as well. So let me tell you about the threat now. So the pathogen is an obvious threat, yeah? The current outbreak is driven by the lethal, it's called BUNDIBUGYO strain, yeah? Bundibugyo strain. Unlike most common variants, this strain has no approved vaccine, no definitive therapeutic treatment, and is heightening regional anxiety over accidental leakages. Oh, accidental leakages. How convenient for America to now be going into Kenya, where France was just there, trying to negotiate deals with Kenya. You don't see? It's the colonizers all coming. It's the same smallpox, the same jiggers. It's the same thing. They do it over and over again. It's just with a new variant, that's all. But this variant, which they probably worked in their labs, they're coming and they've got people that are coming to spread it in Kenya. They probably brought it over to the Congo, you know, in order to make sure that they keep on with their cobalt. Do you understand? Anyway, expert criticism. Several global healthcare professionals have slammed the decision, arguing that restricting options for aid workers by preventing their repatriation to elite US hospital centers will severely damage international willingness to volunteer at the epicenter. Don't volunteer, leave them to it, but do not build no center. Kenya. Let them go take whatever they want to bring to Africa back to America. Okay? I know I've got my brothers and sisters and so on in America, and I don't want no one to get hurt. But whatever they want to spread, whatever they've concocted in their laboratories, let them keep it there. Okay, you shouldn't be having no hub for nobody, for no one, for no nothing. Yeah. Well, the case returns to court on June the 2nd, so I'll keep you posted. Yeah. But you know, there's something Kenya. Woo! We need to do something about this. You know, people need to go back to apothecaries, okay, and go back to our old treatments, our old herbs and our old healing treatments. We need to go back to those, because pharmaceuticals, you know, were made from the healing herbs, but they mixed it with pharmaceuticals. And how did they do it? Because Rockefeller started in the oil industry. When he started in the oil industry, they then had so much waste and they didn't know what to do with it. So they started to make pharmaceuticals. And so they killed the apothecaries. Yeah, they killed all of the natural apothecaries, all the natural healing centers. They destroyed them. They basically sold them out or closed them. And then they created their own legal pharmaceutical company. That's why it's called pharmaceutical. Yeah, not apothecary. It's not healing. It's there to treat. And a lot of the stuff is not even effective. In fact, it's very bad for us. A lot of the pharmaceuticals are actually very bad for us. So, you know, they're creating another problem so they can be the solution. This is what they do. They create the problem, then they become the solution. And this is what they're doing. So I'll end on the last thing that I wanted to share with you, which was by King Mponga. Yeah, and like I told you about them repealing the laws, I already told you that I just think it's just a load of baloney, because, you know, he talks with forked tongue, you know. But this is what he said, and I love this, by King Mponga. He said, break the law and bring them home. And so they should, because we don't agree with their laws. Their laws don't have to be our laws, and we don't have to stand under their laws. We don't have to approve their laws, because slavery was legal. You know, the Code Noir was legal for them to do what they did, to own us as chattels, as property, to cut off our ears, to kill us. It was all legal. It was all legal. So F their laws. You know, tell them where to go stick their laws. It's time for us to have our own laws. So he says, break the law, bring them home. Break the law, bring them home. Break the law, bring them home. African leaders, your children stand at the gate and you read them the rule book. This goes out to all the African leaders that have not yet done anything to ensure that African descendants are able to get citizenship in your countries. And I mean, not some slow train. I'm talking about properly expedited automatic citizenship program. Even if it's 2 years, it needs to happen. So African leaders, your children stand at the gate and you read them the rule book. This is what King Mponga said. He said they were stolen from this soil. They were roped, raped, drugged, sold into the Middle Passage. They did not leave, they were taken. Now they return with skills, capital, memory, earned where they never meant to survive. Now they return with skills, capital, memory earned where they were never meant to survive. You hear that? And you demand visas, permits, proof of funds. I'm going to add to that, even our blood. They want our DNA to prove that we're African. We look in my face, you can't see I'm African. You can't tell the difference, no? Right? Proof of funds, you make them prove they belong to the land that birthed them. Yes. You make us prove it. You want to take our blood and tell us that we have to go and show that our DNA came from this land. Why? Yeah? This is not governance. This is what he said. This is not governance. This is abduction with your face at the gate. Immigration law is the Middle Passage in miniature. Exactly. Every passport stamp is a rope retied. Every embassy queue is another auction block. Tear up those colonial laws. Absolutely. Open all African land to welcome your children, for those laws exist to keep Africa's children scattered and weak. Land, family now. Give them land. That's right, not for sale, for re-remembering. Give them clans, totems, not tenancy agreements. Give them engineering, medicine, and capital networks. But more than that, they bring memory, keep alive all foreign kitchens, churches, and boardrooms where they had to shrink to survive. Yeah, we can tell you the truth about them. We can tell you the truth about the white man and the white woman. We can tell you what they're really like. We have the proof. We have the evidence. When they say, Kendrick Lamar wrote a song, he said they're not like us. And I see white people dancing to it, singing they're not like us. No, you're not like us. I don't think they got it. They're not like us. They're not like us. But more than that, bring memory kept alive in foreign kitchens, churches, boardrooms where they had to shrink to survive. The stone still stands, the water still remembers, and the ancestors still wait. That's right, the ancestors still wait. The stone still stands, the water still remembers, and the ancestors still wait. Your children are knocking. Will you take them in? Or schedule another appointment? Maponga III Marara. Yeah, the watcher of Akabulan. Chang Mabiri Sawase Pumwanya Jenna. Yeah, Mokana Chabrea Mboko. I don't know what it means, but it sounds good, right? So on that note, I'll end just by highlighting what we discussed today. Very, very important day. I think in many ways, this week has been a very important week. You had the repealing of Code Noir, which of course had us labeled as property, as chattel slavery, to be sold, to be loaned, to be killed, to be raped, to be inherited, to be abused, to be used, and to born our children into slavery. Has finally been repealed since 1685. Finally, in 2026, the lawmakers all agreed to repeal it, but we mustn't forget it. And that's what's important. We spoke about that last week. In addition to that, the Pope, Leo of the Vatican of the Catholic Church, also apologized for their role in slavery, but have not promised any reparations, which is a shame. We also spoke about what's going on in South Africa. We spoke about how, unfortunately, the government sprung into action when the activists decided to target Asian and Chinese businesses. They then arrested 140 activists, but yet when they were targeting and attacking African nationals, the police stood by and watched. There was no mass arrests made, which is very, very unfortunate and very sad. It makes me look at, the damage that has been done and how we view ourselves and, who we put above our own lives and above our own brothers and sisters' lives. And also, there's just so much to talk about. And I spoke about the Pakistanis who took out AK-47s against the vigilantes. And I also spoke about the death of one of the vigilantes who passed away. I've forgotten his name now. Thaka something. What's his name? Thaka. I've forgotten his name, but may he rest in peace. Unfortunately, he was an anti-black activist. So, some people have said it's karma, but unfortunately, it's sad that we had any deaths because of ignorance, because of lack of tolerance, and because of black on black hatred. We have to overcome this. We need to stop allowing the white man in our head, in our brain, in our thoughts, because that is what is happening. It's fear. It's fear. And, when you read Code Noir, I'm not surprised why we were scared. because of the evilness that was done to us. But we have to now get strong again. We have to, get our counseling, get our healing, and start to overcome the trauma, but not forget it, but heal from it. Yeah. So, yeah, don't forget to like, please, everybody. Thank you so much for everybody staying in today's live. The Church of Scotland even apologised for slavery, but still no reparations. Here we go again. It's the same thing. What's words without action? It's empty. It's like being in a relationship with someone who promises the world and never delivers. It's an absolute waste of time. Yeah? Absolute waste of time. They just make false promises, empty promises, as Macaroni said. He talked about empty promises. We also spoke about Ebola, the Ebola center that they want to talk about. The Ebola center they want to build in Kenya, to put the American soldiers in that are coming back with Ebola. No thanks, send them back to America. So I do hope that the case on the 2nd of June is successful, okay? But I also want to talk to you about a man called Samori Toure from 1830, born on the 2nd of June, and he died in the 1900s. He was a brilliant military strategist, and he was a cleric, and he was the founder of the Wesisulu Empire, which was recognized historically as one of the greatest African leaders for his fierce resistance against French colonial expansion in West Africa. Why am I telling you about him? It's because if we've done it before, we can do it again. Okay, so what was I saying? Wesisulu. So empire, recognized historically as one of the greatest African leaders for his fierce resistance against French colonial expansion in West Africa, often referred to as the Black Napoleon of the Sudan. He built a highly disciplined army and successfully defied French forces for over a decade. Note that the Mitchell is probably a misname or mix up. Okay, So the historical records identify him strictly as Samori Toure or Samori Toure, right? And in 1870s, Toure unified the Mandinka people to establish the Wesisulu Empire, which covered parts of modern-day Guinea, Mali, Sierra Leone, and Cote d'Ivoire. Military innovation, he structured a professional modern military force called the SOFAS, and was highly innovative, even setting up local workshops to manufacture and repair firearms. The Mandingo Wars, he engaged French colonial forces in a series of conflicts known as the Mandingo Wars between 1883 and 1898. He famously executed a massive scorched earth retreat, moving his entire empire eastward to establish a second empire, capture and legacy. After years of grueling war of attrition, he was captured by the French in 1898 and exiled to Gabon, where he died in 1900. His grandson, Ahmed Sekou Toure, later became the first president of independent Guinea. Prominent contemporary African leaders. The reason why I talked about this is because we don't talk enough about the resistance that we put up to France. I'm talking about France because we're talking about Côte d'Ivoire, we're talking about, the French leader, we're talking about the Catholic Church, we're talking about, all of the wars that were won in order for us to win. There was also, people like Thomas Sankara. There were so many other people, Kwame Nkrumah. We were talking about African Liberation Day. So that was my African Liberation Day piece. And I'm going to love you and leave you. And thank you to King Mopongo. He's very right in what he says. It's time for them to break the laws and just allow African descendants to return. And they need to demand reparations for us to get restitution so that we can return. Part of reparations must be restitution, where we can return from whence we were taken, where ancestors were taken from, and from whence we came. So I just want to read some of your comments. Forget apologies, says Liliani Resurrection. Ebony Sweetness. Interesting discussion. Peace and joy to you all. Yes, thanks, Julia, about the Ebola. Thank you so much, Kenny. Need to try something different. Absolutely. So this is what I'm saying. So Samora Toure, let me see if I can get a picture of him on my phone so I can show you. This is Samora Toure. Okay. He licked their ass for 10 years. Yeah. He beat them down, and he allowed Africa to also find a new empire before they took over his. Okay? And that's what we have to do. We have to move in unison, we have to move in peace, and we have to move in love towards each other. All this Afrophobia has to stop. I was listening to a live on one of my favorite channels this week, and I'm not going to say, because I don't want to, start any friction, but I heard Afrophobia on the channel. I heard them talking negatively about Nigerians, and I was very unhappy. As I told you before, my family composite DNA stated 33.1% Nigerian. Okay, and this was done after I had already decided to live in Gambia. But my grandmother told me that my family was Gambian, and so I will stand by what she says. However, the largest amount of composite DNA I have is actually Nigerian, but I'm living here. But the point I'm making is that we have to stop this, stereotyping of people from a certain region. This is what is going on in South Africa, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop. I don't want to stereotype all South Africans as vigilantes. This is wrong. This is wrong. We can't go and stereotype. Every country in Africa has a prison. Every country in America, every state in America has prisons. Okay? There's not a land on this planet that doesn't have criminals or people that, break rules, or even if they didn't break rules, are held to account. So let's not, go there. Let's just learn to love each other. And, hopefully I will talk to my brother, whose channel it was, and say to him that, he needs to try and rein it in a little bit to stop that, because I didn't like it. It made me feel very uncomfortable. We don't need to spread more Afrophobia. We need to spread more love. So BlaXit Family, BlaXit Family, BlaXit Family. As you know, we are launching a new estate, okay? And I think I'll be calling it Akebulan. I don't know if you say yes or no on that. Do let me know. You can text us on +220 240 5273. That's +220 240 5273. I was a bit tired this week. Like I said, I did some night work. I've been working on my project, so it really wore me out. So I was a bit tongue-tied this week. So I do apologise, just simply because I'm a bit tired. So I hope you gained something from today's program. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please let me know. +220 240 5273. Next week, we hope to be having a very special guest on, which is another YouTube channel. But the author is launching his book. And where's it gone, Akin? Let's see the name of the book. Oh my goodness. Okay, how Europe, and this is going to tie in exactly what we're talking about this week. How Europe, the holy chains, how Europe used Christianity to undevelop Africa, a Nigerian case study. You see? That's why we shouldn't jump to conclusions about other people. We can learn from each other, regardless of where you're from. Okay? So to all my Nigerian brothers and sisters, we love you. To all of my Gambian brothers and sisters, we love you. Sierra Leonean brothers and sisters, we love you. Ghanaian brothers and sisters, we love you. Okay, to all of our Burkina Faso brothers and sisters, we love you. To all our Malian brothers and sisters, we love you. To all of you out there in Niger, fighting this war, we love you. Okay, and we support you 100%. Yeah. No need to apologize, she said. Poop is Pope. Poop. I'm glad you got my joke. I'm glad you got my joke. Poop and Donald Duck. Yeah. I get a little bit of fun out of saying that because, these people, I don't know who they and what they are. But anyway, so remember, we're one Africa, one people, one destiny, one nation. Yeah. One unity, one love. BlaXit family, I'll see you same time again next week, 4 o'clock. And I've been told it's BST, not GMT. So it's a British summertime, apparently, 4 o'clock. So I stand corrected, as I always do. So I want to thank you for joining me on today's live. It has been an amazing show. Thank you so much for all of your comments. I would thank you all individually, just that I'm over time. But thank you for watching. To all of my A1 day ones, all of my veteran BlaXit family members who are watching, I want to thank you for standing by us and always being with us. To you, if you are a newbie and you've just joined BlaXit for the first time today, you are so highly welcome, and I thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share, please. Okay, I really need as many algorithms as possible. As I told you, we've been shadow banned. You know what that's all about. It's all about us spreading the information and knowledge they don't want you to hear. So we keep it there. And remember, we're having a new reparations estate. And I think we'll be calling it Akabilan, okay? So don't miss out your chance to get those really reasonably priced plots, okay? As soon as they're out, I'll let you know first. I'm going to work on the demarcation and put it out to you and work on some footage so you can see all about the land and also information about local areas and so on and so forth, so that you have a chance to get your piece of Africa. Yes, so you can come back home and just like me, live happy and live finally free. Okay? Oh my gosh, I forgot to do the pros and the cons. Okay, I will do the pros and cons next week. I promise you. The person who sent it to me, I know I did say that I would do it this week and I meant to. So I'll give you 2 pros and cons before I leave. What was the pros and cons of me coming to live in Africa? That was the question, yeah? That I had, what was the deciding factors? So I said I did pros and cons, okay? So the deciding factors was that I did a list of pros and cons. And there were so many pros to coming to Africa and so many cons or negative things about staying in England, they just didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. So if you're thinking about coming to Africa, do your pros and cons as well. Like for me, I was like, oh my gosh, will I be entrenched in racism? Like, no, in Africa, I won't be. That's a pro. So it was like, will I have to, constantly be, always be pulled into some kind of debt or some kind of parking ticket or some kind of, where they're all just constantly pulling you into debt? The answer was no, because it's pay as you go Africa. I looked at, how would I survive? Would I be able to survive? Would I be able to do business? Would I be able to rubber? And the answer was yes. And so that was another pro, And so, because a lot of people have said, oh, if I go to Africa, how will I survive? Like, Africa doesn't have jobs. Africa has jobs. Africa has businesses. Africa has industries. Don't let them fool you. How do you think I've got internet? They have Comium, I can't even say it, yeah? They have QCell, they have AfriCell, they have other providers as well. You understand? They have TV, broadcasters, they have newspapers, they have banks, they have schools, they have hospitals, they have everything. Just like what you have, they have cinemas, they have events places, venues, they have shops, they have restaurants, they have everything. So, don't be afraid of Africa. Don't be afraid of Africa. I'm loving it. And another thing is that I feel so much safer here. And I think that's really, really important, is feeling safe. So I love you, BlaXit family, and I'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining. Take care. Love you so much. Take care.